G'day students, this is a short video that's going to help you get you started on your lesson 2 spreadsheet activity, which compares simple interest and compound interest for $1,000 invested at an interest rate of 5%. And you can see that I put those key pieces of information in the top left hand side of my spreadsheet here. So investment amount 1,000, and I can turn that into a currency by clicking this dollar sign at the top. And in interest rate is 5%. 5% as a decimal is 0.05, and I can change that to look like a percentage as well by just clicking this percentage sign. This little section here formats cells. Okay, so that's looking good. Now this is the initial setup of our basic financial model. You can see I only have year 1 and year 2. I do want 10 years, so I just want to show you a little trick. With Excel or Google Sheets, if you highlight 2 cells in a row that shows the progression, say year 1 to year 2, and then you drag out, it's smart enough to recognize that you're adding up years. So it automatically now will drag out to year 10, which is pretty cool. You don't need to type it in each time. Okay, so we have our financial model set up. What this cell here, B5, is going to show us is the amount of money in the simple interest account at the end of year 1. So each of these cells are at the end of. Now how I would do this, I would go, well, to do a formula in Excel, you press start by pressing equals, and you can see what I'm typing in either in the cell or at the top here in this function box. Well, at the end of year 1, it's going to be the initial amount, and I can just click on the cell 1,000 plus, and in brackets, it's going to be the interest earned, which will be 1,000. Again, I don't type it in. For financial models, you like to use cell references to make them dynamic, and that will come clearer later on in this video, multiplied by the interest rate. So there you have it. At the end of year 1, there will be $1,050 in that bank account. Let's now do year 2. Well, it's going to equal, again, the end of year 1 amount plus, now simple interest, just to recap, the interest calculation is on the initial principal, which is 1,000, and not the current bank balance. So again, it's going to equal 1,000. This is for the interest repayment for year 2, multiplied by 5%. Let's see that. 1,100. So that is how much is in the simple interest bank account at the end of year 2. Let's do year 3. Now you'll see in a second, we don't need to do all 10 years because I'm going to show you something pretty cool here. Year 3 will equal, again, the end of year 2 account plus the interest repayment, which is the original principal, 1,000 multiplied by the interest rate. So let's do that. However, I'm going to show you something here. Well, I'm going to show you these things called dollar signs, which locks into a cell. So I put dollar signs before the B, and so before the column number and the row number, which means that if I drag this formula across, which I'm going to do in a second, it's going to keep those 2 cells locked in. So the dollar sign before the column will lock in the column, and the dollar sign before the row reference locks in the row. So now I have that, and I have now set up a dynamic formula. If I drag this to year 4, it automatically does the calculation for me. I don't need to do the formula again. This shows D5, so the end of year 3, plus the multiplication of these 2 numbers again. That's pretty cool. I can now drag this out. Now there just means that the columns aren't wide enough. If I just double click the top here, it'll widen it out. So at the end of year 10, there is $1,500 in the simple interest bank account. Let's now do the compound. So that equals, it'll be the initial amount plus, again, the initial amount multiplied by the interest rate. So it's very similar to, it is the same as simple interest for year 1. Where it differs is in year 2, because now we do, well, the current bank balance plus, instead of the original principal, it's now the end of the previous year's bank balance multiplied by the interest rate to calculate the interest repayment. So see how that's slightly higher than year 2? Now, for year 3, I'm going to set up a dynamic formula again. It will equal the previous year's bank balance plus the interest repayment, which is the previous years. Now I don't need to lock that cell in because I want that cell to also move to the right as I drag my formula to the right. However, I do want to lock in my interest rate. I want to keep that cell fixed. So I'll put dollar signs before the B and the 2. And then again, I've now set up a dynamic formula. I can drag this to the right. And at the end of year 10, there will be 1,628.89. So there's a brief overview. It'll take you a little while to get your head around how the formulas work and setting up your financial model, but you learn by doing and you learn by making mistakes. This is a quick video to give you some pointers onto where to start. Okay, good luck.